full-time jobs. You know, I was thinking, Chad, and we kind of talked about this a little bit. What do you think, for you personally, is the biggest mistake? Maybe not mistake, but biggest thing that we could have done differently when we went full time?
A lot of different things.
Right. The biggest. For you personally, it doesn't have to be obviously what I think it is, but what do you think? You know, it's not necessarily something that hurt us, but if we would have done something different, it would have made a difference.
Starting sooner.
Starting sooner.
Yeah.
By starting sooner, do you mean when should we have started full time sooner?
Well, by the end of the season, we were burned out because we were doing it part time, and we were turning work away. And I know we've spoke about this before, but that in hindsight, that would have been the time to just do it. We refer back to that time as a time as knowing we should do it, but we went a whole nother season before actually doing it. So we turned away work and then went into the next season part-time. And then almost sold everything.
Right.
Almost just scrapped the whole idea. I'm pretty glad we didn't do that.
I'm very glad we didn't do that.
I think
that is probably one if not the biggest mistake, because we would be ahead of the game now.
Yeah, we'd be a year ahead from where we're at now. In experience in cultivating relationships, getting our name out there, we'd be a year ahead.
Right. Maybe a year and a half.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think that probably is the biggest mistake or misjudgment call that we made.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that also, from my perspective, was fear. I was nervous.
Oh yeah.
I was scared. I mean, you put everything on the line, you know.
Right. And that goes back to probably the next thing that I would say, and you can never be fully prepared, but I would say the biggest mistake, not the biggest mistake, but the next thing would be financially have enough setback for a while at least, because you never know what's going to happen. You know, because that does cause a hardship. Not so much maybe if you're a solo guy starting out.
Yeah.
But if you're family and you have a family who's dependent on things, having enough is a good thing. Now, you could get caught into the trap of, well, I don't have enough saved up. So you never make the decision to do it. Eventually you just have to do it regardless. But to have some type of a decent buffer would have been a help also. But also by not having that buffer, it drove me personally to spend a lot of time working on the business the first year I went full time.
Right.
And we still do work a lot of time on the business, don't get me wrong. But that first year and a half,
we instituted a lot of plans and infrastructure that, quite frankly, we should have had that in place before we quit our regular jobs.
There you go. There's another thing. That's a good point. A lot of our business infrastructure we did not put into place. We had an LLC already, but there's other things that we didn't put into place until we went full time. know.
Should have prepared a little bit more that way.
Yes.
I mean,
because we dedicated a lot of time to structuring the business that first year that we were full-time instead of cultivating business.
right.
So it took away. But I'm glad that we did it.
Right.
It's just that maybe we should have done that beforehand.
Yeah, that first time whenever we were turning work away, we should have started building our infrastructure at that very point. That winter, we should have said, okay, by spring, we got to have this stuff in line.
This is the billing system we need to use. We need to be automatic payments. We need to have this, and
Right.
Yes.
Bookkeeper.
The bookkeeper needs to be lined up and up on what we want to use as a billing system, and yes.
And had more of a plan. We really
We've done it basically as a hobby for so long.
we got comfortable with
We
that.
got comfortable with that and didn't really have a plan.
Right.
But that being said, we never quit.
No.
We never even once thought about quitting once we went full time. Now, before we went full time, we pondered frickin' selling everything and giving up several times.
Yeah.
Just from being burnt out, working 40, 50 hours a regular job, and then working every single weekend and evening doing other stuff. It wasn't fun anymore.
Right.
So
That did help get equipment paid for.
Yes.
Doing it part time.
Right.
Got equipment paid for. So we were able to start with less overhead in a
Right.
sense of less debt. But yeah, I quit my job. I think I had $1,400 or $1,500 in my pocket. That was basically it.
I had whatever I had in my retirement account,
Right.
which went through that in 3 months' time.
Right. And
So
I'll say this though, I did have non-perishable food and toilet paper stocked up.
Yeah.
It did.
It's good to have a pantry.
Yeah. Wasn't gonna starve.
No.
Just maybe not get the bills paid.
So the takeaways from this are: have a structure in place. Number 2, do it.
Yeah.
Whenever your workload gets to be so much that you're turning work away,
It's time to
and
expand.
you even thought about going full time, do it. And number 3, have some sort of a financial buffer. It's never going to be enough.
No.
It's never going to be enough money. So don't fall into the trap of using that as an excuse not to start your business. But those would be the 3 takeaways.
List of goals.
And they're always the same.
Well, goals for your business.
For your business.
Not a business plan. That's not what I'm talking about. But you need to have your short-term goals listed, and you need to have your long-term goals listed. We're working on goals yet to achieve this season, and at the same time, we're still listing our goals for next season.
And I would say writing them down is a great thing. That's one thing that we don't necessarily do that we should do, because we're constantly talking about them all the time.
Right.
We constantly remind each other of what our goals are and are constantly doing that, so we don't necessarily write them down, but they need to be written down.
As a visual reminder.
As a reminder.
They need to be put somewhere where you see them every day.
Every day. That is a good thing about having a partner, though. I mean, I can understand the pleasure of being a solo operator. I can. But for me personally, I'm motivated by having a business partners.
Right.
So that works out well for us. It just so happens that we're brothers, so that works out even better and makes life exciting sometimes.
And our skill sets are different too. Our personalities are different. If we were too much the same person,
yeah, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, we might not have made it.
No. We usually have 1 or 2 knockdown, screaming, cussing, yelling matches a season.
Not in front of anybody, though.
No, not in front of anybody. But that's just par for the course. That just happens mainly because we're family, I think, more than anything else.
Stress reliever.
Stress reliever. So we're just cruising back from doing that estimate, so we're just chatting.
We do got to take a break and make contact with another client.
Right. And we got to get something to eat.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
I brought my lunch.
Yeah, I know.
It's alright, we can stop at the station and get a honey bun for you.
A honey bun and a Mountain Dew.